How's it going, guys? I just got done watching the Nintendo Direct, and I am so excited for the new Animal Crossing game. More excited than I've probably been for a game in a few years. Animal Crossing New Horizons is set to be released March 20th of this year, just in time for spring. And the reason I bring up the seasons is because, like Animal Crossing games in the past, this game is actually going to be having dynamic seasons. Dynamic seasons are cool because depending on which one it is, there's different activities and missions that you have throughout the entirety of the game. For example, if it's the summertime, you can go fishing and things like that. And if it's the winter, you could build snowmen and even see the northern lights above you, which is sweet. In the beginning of the game, you're going to get to pick from one of 4 islands to start your adventure. And from what they said in the Direct, it doesn't actually matter which one you pick as far as like the activities and things like that. No matter which one you go to, you're going to be able to do everything the game has to offer, which is good. So I'm curious how those different islands are actually going to affect like replayability, but we'll see how that is when it comes to it. They start you off with a brief tutorial, and you'll be given a tent, and you pretty much just go out into the wilderness and find a place to set up shop. This is really cool because it already gives you an opportunity to go around the town and talk to the different residents that inhabit it. And if you've played an Animal Crossing game before, you know that one of the biggest draws to the game is all of the different personalities that each unique character has. It really makes it a lot of fun, and it's pretty good because then you make sure you don't set up your tent next to So along with the tent that you have and all of the homes of your neighbors, there's also a residential tent where you can go and you could buy things. And one thing that's really good is it's open 24/7. I know I've had issues in games that are similar to this where like it really sucks to have to wait for the whole day-night cycle to complete to go back and buy things because obviously places are closed at night. But not here. Everything's open 24/7, so you don't have to worry about that. And alongside that, inside of that tent, there's going to be a DIY table where you could like basically build stuff. You could build furniture. I think you might be able to build like tools and stuff, which is really sweet. I even saw they had an ocarina in there, so I don't know if that was like an Easter egg or what, but you can make that at the DIY table. One of the big draws of the Animal Crossing games have always been the customization that you could do pretty much around your house or around the whole village. And it's really cool that we're gonna have a crafting system to pretty much let us make whatever we could possibly think of. Second facility you're going to come across is the airport, and this pretty much acts as the online hub where you could start like multiplayer missions and things like that. You could have up to 8 people in one session, so you could have up to 8 people visiting your island, or you can go visit other people's islands, and it's really cool. Another thing, they did implement sort of like a security thing, so unless you have somebody marked as a best friend, they're not going to be able to use any tools where they could like potentially damage your village, like get rid of paths or walkways or houses or anything like that, which is really good because obviously like griefers exist. You know, it wouldn't be surprising if somebody tried to come into your game and just kind of mess stuff up. So it's good that there's precautions against that, but it's also good that you can give somebody the okay to edit your world with you, because that could also be a lot of fun. The airport will also act as sort of like a post office where you could send messages to other residents. I didn't really catch in the game if it was just like residents in your own single player world, or if you could actually send messages online. It would be really cool if that's how that works, but I'm not really sure because they also announced this application that you can get on your real cell phone, and you'll be able to communicate through there, do voice chat, send messages, and I think they might even be like mini games and things like that. So I'm not sure what the extent of that whole post office thing is, but it's definitely going to be interesting and a fun aspect to explore inside the game. Speaking of cell phones, they actually give you what they call a Nook phone, and it's basically, well, what it is. It's a phone, and there's different applications that can sort of help you when you're out in the wilderness. It comes with a GPS, a camera, and even a really cool fitness tracker, which sounds like it'd be pretty boring in a game, but the implementation is actually really cool. So the fitness tracker is basically called Nook Mileage, and from what I took from the Nintendo Direct, the way it works is like the more you walk, the more mileage points you get, and these points can be redeemed on certain things like clothing or furniture or pretty much anything for your world that's specific to that Nook Mileage Club or whatever the hell it is. One of the cool things that you could buy with your Nook Miles is something that I'm probably going to use like 99% of the time when I'm playing the game, and you could actually get plane tickets, which are going to take you to other islands, not owned by other people, but just like random islands where you could talk to different NPCs and gather materials, possibly find new blueprints for your crafting, new furniture, a bunch of stuff like that. So it's really going to add a lot of exploration to it, and I'm really happy that they didn't lock this behind some sort of DLC paywall. It's cool that it's just something that you earn in-game like it used to be, and you could use that to obviously get more things and make your experience that much more interesting. So another thing that they have on the phone is actually a rescue service. So if you're out and about in the wild and you're like either too lazy to go back or you just somehow actually get lost, even though you have a GPS map, I guess it's possible. It'll just pick you right up. They'll come rescue you and then they just drop you right back off at your house. So it's always good to have like an easy way out in games like this, especially games where like exploration is a vital aspect of the experience. Sometimes you just kind of get too far off the beaten path and it's nice to be able to just go back to home base without having to backtrack for 20-30 minutes. Just like with other Animal Crossing games, you do have the opportunity to upgrade from a tent to a house, and then from there you could keep remodeling your house and expand it, make it bigger, add more storage space, of course give you more space to decorate and add furniture, because that's always fun. That's like the main point of the game, make things pretty. It's really cool, and the only thing I'm hoping is that there isn't too much DLC that it's tied to. I really hope that this isn't a game that turns into just a bunch of microtransactions, because even though they didn't say anything about that even though they didn't say anything about that specifically in the Nintendo Direct, I know that Nintendo is, they're real happy with doing microtransactions at the moment. So I'll stay hopeful and say that since they didn't mention it, maybe it won't be there. But yeah, I really hope that it's not like a paywall to really get the whole experience, especially visually, because it is such a beautiful game. Beautiful. Another thing that's really cool, especially if you may be a parent or you have younger siblings, is you can actually set up an island on one console to have up to 8 players there living there. So each person will have their own home, each person will have their own story pretty much, but one person plays the leader. So I'm pretty sure that's just so that, almost like the protection against people coming in and ruining your game online, it's probably just so like if you have younger kids or something, they won't mess up your game, because even though it may not seem like it, obviously a lot of older people are into this game too, and it would suck if you have like a 3-year-old that just kind of destroys everything for fun. So that's good. That's interesting. They did say in the Direct that they plan on doing a lot more development after the game is released, like post-release. And things like that include adding a museum, a shop with furniture that can't be crafted, can only be purchased there. You're gonna have a tailor for clothing. There's gonna be a campsite where you can go to hang out with friends and do like whatever, friend stuff, activities. And I do hope, again, that this isn't behind a paywall, because that would just be terrible. But they did say that there's gonna be a lot of cool updates that come free, including one that's going to be on release date, which I guess is for some sort of bunny day that's going to happen, obviously, assuming around Easter. And so that's cool that stuff like that, holiday-specific events are going to be free. They definitely confirmed that, so that's at least something to definitely look forward to not paying for. So it seems like they really want everything on the island to evolve with you, which I think is really cool. So if they're going to be upgrading buildings that are already there, like the different facilities, and they're going to be making them like bigger and better as time progresses, it'll be really cool to have the development team working to make the game a bigger place while you are also doing that, as of course your main objective is in any Animal Crossing title. No. Ron's is so small. Sean. So you can also expect tourists to come to your island, which is pretty cool. They'll be teaching you things, possibly even giving you blueprints again for the DIY bench. And just gonna be like more interaction with NPCs, and that should be really cool. They said that that's gonna be a very common occurrence in the game, because it is a deserted island, vacation island, so it makes sense to have a bunch of people show up, and I think that's a really cool dynamic to keep the game fresh and interesting, especially once you get into like 20, 30, or even 100 hours of gameplay. There's also going to be free tournaments and events. I think they said something about there being like a bug catching tournament, a fishing tournament, and just a bunch of really cool like competitive things that hopefully will be linked to an online leaderboard. I'm not sure if that was disclosed. I hope they do that, because it would just make the most sense to make it more like competitive. But either way, there's going to be cool stuff like that that again is seasonal and is something to look forward to throughout the entirety of the game. Eventually you're going to get to a point in the game where it actually gets sort of Minecrafty, and you can start building things like bridges and stairs and pathways to navigate the terrain easier. And even past that point, you're going to be able to actually add land and rivers and everything. So it's going to be like just like Minecraft. But that'll be really interesting, because you're going to be able to really customize the entire island, not just the building, not just the villagers, but the island itself, to kind of be like your perfect vision of whatever you want your Animal Crossing island to be like. As far as I know, that is a pretty new concept for Animal Crossing. Granted, I haven't really played one of these games since the original Nintendo DS one. which I don't think was the original, maybe, whatever. I had one on the Nintendo DS and it was sick, but I don't think this was possible in that game. So that's going to be something interesting, though. Again, keep the game fresh and cool. At the end of the Nintendo Direct, they talked about the FAQs, questions that they thought people would have, and I think it's really cool that they answered these. One really important one for me personally is that they did clarify that couch co-op will be a thing. You can all play on one console, and again, that's going to be up to 8 people at once. So you don't need to rely on an internet connection just to play the game with your friends or with your family. It's really cool that you could just kind of all sit around the TV like we used to, you know, no Xbox Live required or whatever. It's great. Another thing that they said is Amiibo is still a thing. I personally don't have a lot of experience with that. I never really cared for that, but if that's something you're into, I guess you could look forward to the fact that you will be able to use the toys that you have bought previously on this game. One thing that's kind of like a real bummer for me is this is one of those Nintendo games where they don't offer their online backup services for your data. That's always just kind of like a nice little crutch to have in case something happens. I know that usually they disable this on games to limit like cheating and stuff like that. But it is always kind of a bummer not to have it there. Luckily though, they did say they have their own proprietary thing implemented where you're going to be able to, if something happens to your console, if it does get broken, if it does get lost or whatever, they said there's going to be a way to get your data back. I'm not sure what that is or how they plan on doing that, but I'm happy they're at least thinking about that, because especially in a game where it's so easy to pour in like 200 hours, it would really suck to not have that, you know, ability to get your progress back if something bad happened. So yeah, I think we really learned a lot about Animal Crossing from this Direct. I think it's really cool, it's really interesting. I'm really excited for the game to come out, especially considering it's going to be out in less than a month from today. It just seems like a really beautiful game. It seems like they're really doing everything right, especially if there is no DLC, which again, a lot of people are speculating there might actually not be microtransactions at all, just because they did make a point to say a lot of things will be free. So that's always good to look forward to. Graphically, the game is beautiful. It's definitely like taking the Switch to its maximum abilities. It seems like the environments are all really well thought out. The mechanics are well thought out. The animations are really cool. You could see that they have like, you know, some characters are like actually eating ice cream or like raking or doing a bunch of stuff like that, which is different because they were kind of just like static assets in previous games. So they really put in the extra thought here. It seems like it's going to be a really good experience, and I look forward to reviewing it for you guys once it is officially released. Thank you guys for watching. If you have anything else that you noticed that was really cool in the Nintendo Direct, please leave a comment below. If you want to subscribe, that'd be really cool. If you want to check out these shirts that Gary just made, there's like 600 of them with different designs, so that'd be really cool. The links for all of our stuff will be down there. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative, a nice little recap, nothing crazy, of the new Animal Crossing game that will be out next month. Deuces.